Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome back to Scatter Love Tarot with your girl coming at you with another pick a card reading. We're all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. We do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message does resonate with you, it'd mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need down below in the description box. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There is no obligation to force it to fit, and keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. Your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing today, and I'm honored to be here sharing it with you. So with that, let's go ahead and hop to our prayer before we dig into this reading, which is, what can I do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? You know, we're in February. Let's talk about romance. This is the big month of romance. And so I got this channel message to dig into how we can open ourselves up to receiving that romance. Because I feel like that's a good path to take. Understanding ourselves and understanding maybe our patterns, or what patterns we might attract into our lives or allow into our lives. And how can we balance that out so that we can attract in the love that it is that we're looking for. My beloved source, this prayer is for anyone and everyone that comes onto this reading, whether it's for the entire time or for a moment's time. You know, love is such a tricky topic, especially nowadays, because we see so much of the time people falling in love with codependency, or with toxicity, or with the roller coaster ride of emotions that we feel are passion, which in turn are actually lust and triggering our past traumas. Maybe some of us have gotten so used to the ups and downs in love that when love does enter our lives in a calm, collected manner, we're not exactly sure what to do with it. We're worried that it isn't sincere, or we're worried that it is too soft, or that there's not enough to back it up, when in reality there might be everything that we've been looking for. The peace, the quiet, the presence, the calm state of mind, the acceptance, this truth. And oftentimes it's in this presence of love, just like in the presence with you, that we find ourselves, but also that we've been told and taught for so long that we need to run away from. So today I ask that you open our hearts to receiving the messages that will help us step into that presence with you, with ourselves, and allow that to become the space with which we invite another person into our lives as well. As these words are spoken upon this tribe and onto this reading, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. So let me go ahead and set this up over here. I did feel called to using the Wild Unknown Alchemy Oracle by Kim Krans today. I felt like this was such a good topic for these cards. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle. These are really awkward for me to shuffle, so hang tight with me. But let's see what we've got going on. All right, what can I do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Source, what would you like to share with the collective? What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Okay, what can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? All right. Okay, pile number one. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Source, what oracle card is going to help us better understand this message? Thank you. All right. Pile number two, what can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Source, what oracle card is going to help us better understand this message for pile number 2 today? Thank you. All right, pile number 3, what can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? For pile number 3 today, source, what oracle card is going to help us better understand this message? Thank you. All right, on the bottom, the collective energy is darkening. This is the shedding of old skin and old patterns and old beliefs. I feel like a lot of you as the collective are moving through this energy of not being sure if you can trust new people that are coming in, especially having dealt with snakes in the past, having dealt with people who have lied, who have hurt you, who have betrayed you, who have created some kind of pain in your life. And it's actually very interesting here because I'm getting that the snake was actually the christening of your journey into the love that you desire. So it's like, in order for you to be brave enough to face the pit, you had to walk into it to understand what you did and did not want in your life. And this is where the awakening happened to your inner truth, to the patterns that were persisting in your life, to situations that were extremely toxic for you, and opening your eyes to the people who were not healthy for you along the way, or who created heartbreak in your life. And that could be romantic connections as well as friendships and family that we're in. But I do feel like most of this, that you have been led by spirit, you've been led by source, you've been led by your higher self. And there are constant messages that are arising at every which way to help redirect you onto the correct path of alignment. And that can seem very frustrating at times, because it's like, what if I feel like I'm not getting the signs correctly? Or what if I feel like I'm misinterpreting them? And I feel like this is that reminder that you have experienced so much. And if you cannot trust yourself and the gift of discernment that you've been given throughout this process, then inviting someone else into your life to trust is going to be ever increasingly difficult, because you'll never have that trust of self. And we can only give to others what we give to ourselves. And source is asking you to open your heart and trust that you can make a good decision for yourself. This is how you're going to start attracting healthy relationships into your life. Trust that your intuition is telling you what feels right and what feels wrong, because intuitively or oracally or energetically, depending on how you look at it, we're going to know if something's off right away, and that's going to affect us mentally, emotionally, even physically. And with the darkening here, it is showing me that it's like you may have just entered the dark night of the soul, or you maybe are leaving the dark night of the soul, where we're going through these periods of growth that are untamable in a way. They seem to be throwing us around like a pinball in a pinball machine, and there's no stopping it. And it's completely disorienting. But through that disorientation, we find a sense of clarity, and that helps us alter our perception of the world, what we're taking in, what we're feeling, because we're being so disoriented in the darkness. We don't know which way is up. We don't know which way is forward. We don't know which way is back. We don't know what's happening. We might feel as though we're walking in circles. The only thing we have left to trust is our intuition. is our inner knowing, is our higher self, is the messages from the divine. And that's what this feels like. How do you attract a healthy relationship into your life? Is by trusting that the divine knows what is best for you, but also that comes from that sense of inner knowing, and not trying to over romanticize every person that could be a potential romantic partner in your life. Like if you have someone that comes in and you find them incredibly attractive, incredibly intelligent, incredibly wise, and you're very drawn to them, before over romanticizing that and trying to imagine a future with them, draw back and allow things to unfold. And when you do that, you will allow space for them to show up in the exact energy that they're in, whether that is clinging or whether that is disconnected or whether that truly is in a space of presence. So let's see what this says from the book. The darkening. Yeah. Depth, readiness, and churning. And it says this card is linked to Mortifactio and to Pluto transformation. If these cards appear together, so if you guys are watching this, if one of those cards appears in your reading, that'll even deepen this meaning. It's a sure sign that things are running bleak. Time to lighten the mood and eat and get into the sun. Okay? We have draw with charcoal or India ink. Let the depth of the pigment move you and follow its lead. The only requirement is that you allow the material to express itself. So if you are not an artist, but if you were to pick up a dark pen and to just draw on a piece of paper, not for the sake of making something professional or perfect, where would the lines lead you? And oftentimes this is symbolic of the journey that we live, right? If we follow those lines, we might get an insight as to how our journey has been for ourselves, and trusting that we'll still always get from point A to point B, even if it's not in a straight line. And I'm not talking about just putting out a piece of paper and drawing a straight line. I'm like talking about let yourself just flow with whatever's coming and see what happens. Look at this. It says, in alchemy, darkness is an achievement. It indicates that material that has been through a significant occurrence, sometimes called an initiatory experience, that has brought it into a state of readiness for the work. The darkness prepares us. We moved beyond the small talk and the chit-chat of the upper world and descended into the psychic layers of the soul, right? So trusting spirit, trusting your higher self, trusting your intuition. That's all that there is left. We admit who we are fully and bravely, and thus open ourselves to the process of transformation. When this card appears, it's not necessary to delve into what brought you here, the initiation likely by fire that has caused the embers to char. Rather, it's time to heal, and darkness is the remedy. Closing your eyes is a voluntary expression of darkening. By practicing it daily, we drop into the depths and surrender. As the alchemist's eye adjusts, transformation begins. To go deeper, check out Nina Simone perform Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair, and to ponder the wisdom of dusk. So as the sun sets, right? As the end shall come for us all, which also means that there's an opportunity for the sun to rise again. So a very profound message, truthfully. How do we attract a healthy romantic relationship is by trusting the process and trusting what we've already been through, and trusting that we're learning very powerful methods of discernment along the way. And if we're always just waiting for source to make the decision for us, if we're always just waiting for someone else to make the decision for us, that's not how we're going to attract those healthy relationships. There is an action that's needed here, and that is to trust self. Okay. All right. So for pile number 1, we do have this dice with the 6th house on it. Where we have this piece of green aventurine. pile number 2, we have this dice with Aquarius on it. And this is not just for Aquarians, but if you are Aquarius and you're drawn to that, that is perfectly okay too. This is just something else to choose from. Okay, or we have this shard of amethyst for you to choose from. Okay, and for pile 3, we have this dice with Saturn on it. Or we have this bloodstone for you to choose from. Okay, so we have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3, and whichever pile you feel drawn to, that should be the one for you, and I will see you over there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 6th house on it, or perhaps you were called to this piece of green aventurine, or maybe you were called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on what can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? We are all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. I do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message does resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need down below in the description box. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, and keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. And your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm honored to be here sharing it with you today. So let's go ahead and hop to it and find out what can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship, pile number 1. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Okay, so wow, we've got the 5th house, we have Aquarius energy, and the Sun. Putting yourself out there. I mean, just a simplistic way of looking at this is really just putting yourself out there. I feel like you've been isolated for quite a while, and that comes from having a lot of heartbreak or having a lot of untrustworthy people in your life. Like, what's the purpose of trying to go out in the world when it just feels like everybody is going to let you down, or everybody has, you know, gotten to you in some way, shape, or form, whether that's lying, stealing, cheating, betrayal, whatever it is, right? There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of hurt that's coming from that drama, even like people trying to drag you into their drama. But what can you do to attract a healthy relationship into your life is to trust what you've learned. You have become the leader of your life. But there's something here that you're not trusting fully. It's like you don't trust to be able to make solid connections. You don't trust to be able to see the truth behind people. And what Source is saying here is that that's not true. You've learned very well how to clearly discern people who are for you and people who are not. But sometimes what you question is whether or not you can trust the intuitive notions you're getting, or if you're just overthinking them. And oftentimes, if you sit with it for just a little while, you'll be able to really understand what it is that you're being told by your intuition, and also what you're being told by Source. But to put yourself out there and to date and to connect with people, you know, sometimes it's hard for us to connect with a lot of people, but sometimes at the same time, if you're not connecting with people, how are you ever going to be able to attract who it is that you want into your life? You're a little bit goofy. You're a little bit unusual. You're a little bit weird, right? And that's not a bad thing. That's what makes you unique. I feel like there's something about this. It's like maybe you have felt intuitively that you turn people off, or that people are already immediately judging you, or that people have something on their mind when it comes to you and it's never really very positive. All of that is useful. All of that is useful for you, because it's like if you get that energy from someone when you're out and about, you can be like, look, I just don't think this is going to work, but I appreciate your time. Have a great day and good luck on your journey. Right? And part of this is really truly just learning to confront those very uncomfortable situations from a grounded, emotionally mature place, which we're not learning anymore in society. It's like everybody is so quick to run away from discomfort and ghost, rather than to be the adult and say, hey, guess what? You know, it's not you, it's me, because really it is. You have to trust yourself. And maybe it is them, but at the same time, instead of being like, well, you're the problem, you need to change, because none of us want to hear that, right? But rather just recognizing that I don't resonate with them. So that's on me, right? Like, it's not you, it's me. It's not about being cruel. It's not about being unkind. It's just truly saying, like, I don't resonate. And I'm okay with that. And I'm going to respect that for myself. But also saying, it's like, if you are in a situation and you're too afraid to say something, what helps you to walk away, right? You have to vocalize how you feel. But I do feel like through this experience, you may actually connect with a lot of people that are going to become lifelong friends, and you're going to build a community. Maybe they aren't romantic, but there is going to be a lot of people that you connect with that you're like, wow, you know, like, I may not be romantically attracted to you, but we vibe, and I'm really glad about that. And so I feel like for you, Pile 1, this is not only about attracting a healthy romantic connection, but attracting friendships into your life, soul tribe friendships as well. Have fun. Don't put so much pressure on it. It's like, I feel like you can tend towards being a very serious person. You could have Mercury in Capricorn, or you could also have the 6th house or the 3rd house in Capricorn. You could also have a rising Capricorn, or moon in Capricorn is coming through as well. So Capricorn energy is very strong. And if not, that's okay. That's just for someone who needs that additional confirmation. But I do feel like sometimes you can be very pessimistic about, you know, life, or very stern and stubborn about life. Or you could just be very like, everything is so serious. I have to take everything that I do, I have to approach it like I'm going into the business meeting of my life. And finding romance isn't really that serious. We've made it so serious, but we've also placed it inside of a box. We put it in confinement, and that is not where it belongs. It's a very free, light-hearted energy, and stepping into that light-hearted energy will help you to connect with people in a different way that's going to allow you to bypass these superficial energies that happen to arise on dates. And when you first meet someone, it's very superficial. It's very surface level. And how do we go beyond that to see if this is something that could ultimately blossom into something, you know, more permanent, or pertaining to having more depth? And it's literally about allowing yourself to have fun. If you can smile and laugh and joke and have witty banter, and that's not putting pressure on yourself to have witty banter, you were already witty. But if you walk into a date and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to say? 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 How am I going to make them laugh? How am I going to make them laugh? How am I going to be witty? Like, you're saying it over and over again. You're just stressing yourself out, rather than just walking in and saying, I'm going to have fun. Right? That's already a way different energy than going in and being like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if that happens? You could also have Virgo highly aspect in your chart as well. But it's like overthinking here as well, or some really prominent Mercury placements are coming in as well. And I feel like the thing is to not overthink it. Allow yourself to have fun, because it's through fun that you're going to find a person to connect with in a very open, honest, and innocent way. And that's going to make you feel very good about yourself. It's going to make this person feel very good about themselves. And it's going to be a much more relaxed path. You're already very attractive. You're already very magnetic. But I feel like it's been really hard for you to trust that because it feels like you cannot manifest love. And I feel like it's just because you're so serious about it. And again, there's nothing wrong with being serious about life, but love is not a very serious thing. It's just not. It's something that is more lighthearted than anything. But with society going towards, you know, codependent relationships and toxic attachments and everything, that's why it becomes so serious. Like, I don't want to get hurt again. Right? You're never going to get hurt like you did in the past. And that's because you've learned some very, very difficult lessons from situations that you didn't deserve to go into. And through that, you're going to know certain flags that arise, whether these are green flags or red flags. And trusting that is going to help you. But also going in with a light heart will allow you to not be so scrutinous against the other person in such a way where you're just trying to find an ick all the time because you don't want to get hurt, right? What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Pile number 1. Okay, Source, what would you like to share with us? What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Pile number 1. Thank you. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Pile number 1. Yeah. And I do feel like there's been a lot of judgment against people. Again, that seriousness coming up. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you're already comparing people to past circumstances. Like, oh, this reminds me of Joe. Or this reminds me of Sally. Or this reminds me of Tanisha, or this reminds me of Derek. You know what I mean? Like, it's like comparing them to past situations, and that's not fair to the person sitting in front of you, and it's not fair to yourself either, because you're never giving yourself an opportunity to experience something new. Yeah, growth comes when you allow things to change. So let's see what we've got here. Yeah, there's been a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. Yeah, right there. Already confirming what I was feeling with the dice right away from the get-go. There's a lot of fear and anxiety because I do feel like maybe you've been cheated on in the past. Pile number 1, like you were ready and willing to give yourself over to a person who did you dirty, right? Like you were in it for the long haul, and you let this person in a way that maybe you didn't let people in before, or there was something here where it was like you got involved with somebody who could have been secretly married or had a secret life on the side, or like I'm seeing like a secret family, or they started hooking up with somebody at their work and they left you for someone that was younger, or they left you for someone that, you know, you may have felt looked better than you, but that's not true. It's just there's that judgment that's coming in. Okay, there's that comparison that's coming in here. There's no comparison. You can't compare someone who's ready and willing to give their heart to someone who's a space filler because the person you are with wasn't ready to commit. They were not ready to give that part of themselves. But what was blinding you in that time was the fact that you were already all in. Not allowing things to unfold, you had already committed the whole of your being to this person, and that hurt when things fell apart, when things came into light about what was going on. It's like you discovered something, and I feel like you discovered it in a very, very unsettling way. And that fear is what's keeping you reclusive to dating, because it's like, well, you know, it's like this idea, well, all men, they just cheat, or all women, they just cheat, or, you know, like nobody's ready for a serious relationship anymore. And the thing is, it's easy to believe that. It's easy to believe that because that continues to cement the belief that I'll never find love again. But sometimes we have to ask ourselves, pile one, is what I was experiencing, was that really love? Was it really love? Was it everything that you wanted love to be? And I mean, of course there were ups and downs and this and that, but it's like, if it were really love, did this person communicate to you the way that you truly wanted? Did this person do the things that you were truly asking for in a relationship? Were they 100% present? You know, I feel like that's sometimes a thing that we forget to ask ourselves about our past. We had, oh, I was ready to marry this person. I was ready to give my all to this person. But we are always just blaming, oh, it was just because this other person was so much better than me, or this other person, they just gave their, you know, they fell into temptation, they did this, but we're not actually scrutinizing how they showed up in the relationship the whole time. But the minute that we're brokenhearted, we're saying, no, I'll never find love again because I'll never find that person again. Why are we looking for that person again? And I feel like that's what Source is saying here. Like, why are you trying to look for that person again when that person's the one that broke your heart? Let's get some clarifiers out here. Can you please have some clarifiers for this reading, Source? And I feel like the main thing here is feeling stuck in a situation. That's the thing. It's like, I don't want to lose my freedom. Interesting. I don't take these cards in reverse, but these both flipped out in reverse. Like, we have the Three of Swords and we have the Empress. Or, I'm sorry, the Emperor. So there's someone here who is actually very manipulative of you, and they didn't care how they hurt you. They didn't care what it was that they did to you. Okay, they only cared about themselves. They're very self-centered. And I feel like because you were so connected to this person and ready to give your all, that it was very difficult for you to see that they were manipulating you. And even right now, like, there's still aspects where you're like, if they just hadn't cheated on me, then things would have been okay. But would they have really? And that's the thing. And so I feel like recognizing what you had learned from this situation, but also observing the whole instead of letting it be just this one situation. I feel like there was actually a lot of situations that tore you both apart. And it's easy to just lose it all to the massive one, right? Like this is the biggest thing that happened between us, and that's the only thing that happened. But I feel like that's the one that just overshadowed all the rest. The other thing is, how do you attract a healthy relationship is by letting yourself experience emotional stability within yourself and trusting that things are going to work out. Things fell apart for a reason. Right? Things came to an end for a reason. It was because it was not in resonance with your highest good. And finding stability within yourself has been the biggest challenge of all. But Source is trying to help you with that right now. And part of helping you with that is you being brave enough to go outside and put yourself out there so that you can experience all these different people. And I know energetically that can be exhausting. But when you're experiencing all of these different types of people, when you experience like, okay, this person's too pushy, this person's too lackadaisical, this person is not committed, this person is emotionally disconnected, I have fun with this person, they're really funny, right? Like, you're able to really start scrutinizing situations that work for you. And it's not about judging the person as much as it is just seeing, is this in alignment with me? You're not giving yourself enough credit, pile one, for just how truly incredible you are as a person. And I feel like that comes from having been betrayed so deeply in the past. There's this feeling that's residing that, like, if I was betrayed like this, then how can I truly deserve something that's emotionally stable? Or how can I truly see myself as someone who's lovable? And that's the illusion that the situation has left you with, or that multiple situations like that have left you with in your life. And that's not true at all. You're worthy of love right now. You are an amazing person. You matter exactly as you are right now. You don't need to change anything. I feel like understanding this perception of self is where your spiritual growth will come from, and that will help you recognize that this whole way Source really was trying to get you out of a situation that if it went further, okay? So, like, if you were married to this person and this ended in a divorce, right? This could have been something that went on for years and years and years, and you didn't find out about until after you'd been with this person for, say, 30 years. You know what I mean? Or if you were just boyfriend and girlfriend, or if you were partners, or whatever the situation is, right? And you'd only been with them for maybe 5 years or something like that, or 8 or 10 years. It's like Source wasn't going to let you get married to this person in order for this to get spiral out of control. So it's like wherever it happened at that moment because it was time to fall away from your life. Source brought this to light so that you could bring a great change into your life, so that you could overcome something that was actually slowly draining you. So how do you attract a healthy romantic partnership into your life, a healthy romantic relationship? Is by trusting in your internal power and trusting that you are capable of being loved by loving yourself right now. And knowing that when you see yourself through eyes of love, then you'll have a high amount of respect for yourself and you'll always stand in your dignity. Doesn't matter who you're connecting with. If they don't resonate with you, you're going to feel okay walking away. Why? Because you highly respect yourself. And I feel like that's the main thing here. It's like thinking about the emperor, right? The emperor of a nation. An emperor is not just taking care of himself, but he has to take care of himself in order to take care of all of those people. Like, could you imagine if an emperor just didn't give a darn about himself? Like, how would he rule over this nation? And you've seen that, I'm sure, in history and in books and stuff like that. Like the monarchs or the patriarchs that don't take care of themselves often fall prey to nefarious means in their rule. And that's what's happening here. It's like if you're not taking care of yourself, you can fall prey to nefarious situations in your life, including romantically. You can give your power away without realizing it, or you can fall into the temptation of somebody because of their looks, or you can fall into being controlled by someone and being willing to be controlled because thinking this is all I'm ever going to get. So to be an effective ruler of our lives, a stable ruler of our lives, someone who is emotionally sound, mentally sound, physically sound, spiritually sound, a vessel, a whole complete vessel, seeing ourselves with respect is the number one way to step into that energy. And that's exactly why I feel like the Emperor is here, is recognizing that this situation was actually very disrespectful to you. This person was incredibly disrespectful to you. You never deserved that, especially when you gave so much of yourself to be present in the situation. And when you are able to recognize that you didn't need to change in the situation itself needed to change, and that's why things came to light, then you can use that as knowledge and apply it moving forward into future relationships, that good things are coming and that Source has got your back. Okay. And I know oftentimes that's so much easier said than done, but there's definitely something here that's making you feel like you're not worthy of love right now. And in turn, that is triggering a lot of anxious thoughts. Uranus, yeah, it's time to radically change. Changing how you're doing things. Putting yourself out there is one way to do that. Just a second. Excuse me. And also that's the thing too, it's like not over romanticizing every person you meet. Like no matter how attractive they may be, no matter how amazing your conversations might be in the first couple of days or the first couple of weeks or even the first couple of months, like it's okay to be guarded. I feel like that's something that we don't say enough. Like it's okay to be guarded. It's okay to be coming from a place of like, I'm not just going to give 1,000% of myself in the first, 2 dates or even the first 10 dates, right? I want to see who this person is. We want to get over that honeymoon phase so that we can truly see how this person is and how they're going to show up. Because it's that honeymoon phase that has a tendency to draw us in. But getting beyond that honeymoon phase will allow us the opportunity to see them for who they are. Okay? Yeah, we have Saturn and Gemini with concentration, right? Sometimes it's better for us to keep our mouths closed and just observe. That's it. Just observe. Let the person talk. Let them keep talking. Let them keep being themselves, because that's going to help you understand whether or not this meshes with your heart. Okay? You're going to see red flags. You're going to see green flags. You're going to see how this person will potentially show up for the rest of your lives if that's something that's on the menu. I feel like just there's maybe, whoa, okay, these both flew out. I feel like there's maybe just this energy where before you had jumped in full throttle just when you found an attraction to a person, and you're not alone in that. That is something that so many people do. You know, I'm guilty of that from my past as well. And I have met a lot of clients that are guilty of that as well. It's just something that's very human of us. And part of it comes from, you know, we watch movies and we watch shows and we don't see the time lapse as it normally would in life. And so we're watching people get into romantic relationships and being married by the end of a 2-hour stint. And so when we're thinking like, maybe I should stick around and date this person without being fully committed for a couple of months just to see where things go, right? Not saying like, or why are we saying I love you after a week? Why are we saying, you know, let's get married after a month? That's not enough time for this person to show who they truly are, nor for you to show them who you truly are and to see if that meshes up. And that's why I feel like making dating fun again will help you really hone in to what type of energies you want in your life. The masked, look at this masked weaver. Discerning and practical choices bring security in life and love. Your discernment. Trusting your discernment is the number one thing here. Trusting what you've learned along the way will help immensely. While also not trying to rush anything. And maybe that's the biggest fear here, pile one, is you want to rush things, right? Well, I want to be married. I feel like I'm getting too old, or I need to start a family right now. And it's like, maybe there's pressure from outside too, like, you know, pressure from family or pressure from friends, or pressure because you're seeing people you've known your whole life having families and experiencing that, and you're not, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be people who are saying it to pressure you into it. It could just be what you're seeing, right? And feeling pressured from that. And it's just recognizing that you have your own path to follow and that it's perfect the way that it is. And you are perfect the way that you are. We have wolf spirit here with turn knowledge into wisdom. I said that earlier. This has taught you some very valuable lessons. Did you deserve them? No, you did not. But you have learned so much knowledge that you can apply and turn that into further wisdom. On the bottom, yeah, take a leap of faith. Put yourself out there. Have you ever watched a grasshopper jump? Like, they're the craziest thing when they jump. They have no direction when they jump. It's not like, oh, I'm going to jump in a straight line. Like, a grasshopper jumps, and sometimes they totally take a 180, and sometimes they take a 360, and sometimes they're like flipping around in the air for a little while before they land. You know, like a grasshopper doesn't really have a sense of direction. They just hope that where they're landing is safe, right? Like, because you have to. You have to. It's amazing to watch grasshoppers jump. All right. So yeah, look at this. Uranus on both decks. Expect miracles. Radically change. Opening up to that change for yourself. Trusting that that change is a good thing. All right. Let's get one of these. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship into your life? So we have Artemis and Lisa Liu. The path ahead will be different. From now on, you will follow the path of transformation. Pay close attention to your quality of life, trusting in your heart, trusting in your intuition. Things are not going to be the same like they were before. Like, you're going to notice things that you never noticed before until it was maybe too late or until you were too involved. You're going to notice these things right away. Trusting that, right? And then we have Lady Rowena and Spencer. The quality of divine mercy will expand your maturing consciousness. Sympathy will be transformed and mercy will awaken. And this is what I was saying earlier. It's like that feeling of actually saying, you know, it's not you, it's me. That's a part of that mercy, right? That's that compassion. It's taking accountability for how you feel, right? Instead of pointing the finger or placing blame on someone else. Like, of course, you would never want someone to do that to you. So we're not trying to do that to others. It's okay to be honest. Just be like, look, I've recognized that through us dating, this is just not exactly what I'm looking for. Or, you know, maybe I'm not prepared for something quite like what you're asking for. Or, you know, I'm recognizing myself in this situation and I don't want to be in it anymore, right? It's about coming back to self, and that seems selfish, but it's the most respectful thing that you can do for yourself. And not a lot of people are willing to do that. And yes, I'm going to tell you, Pile 1, there are going to be people who take it personal as though you are personally attacking them. Let them. You cannot change the way they feel about that. Okay, this is not about saving their feelings. This is about self-respect, right? We cannot save someone's feelings if they're not willing to hear us from a calm, collected place that we're just not feeling it. Okay, if they're going to get upset about it, then that's on them. But sometimes we take that onto ourselves. It's like, oh, I better just change what I was saying. And we'll get ourselves stuck in some really bad situations because of that. Cat Joker, yeah, the time has come for action. You will receive all only by being prepared to give all. Put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. All right, so let's see. I'm going to get one of these and then we'll see what else we have. All right, empathy, yeah. I'm open to seeing both sides of the situation. And I feel like that comes back to that. It's like recognizing, like, if someone's not in a spiritual alignment with you, recognizing that with empathy and compassion. You know, I feel like people get it confused. So if I'm always coming from a place of empathy and compassion, that means that I have to please the other person so they don't get hurt. Coming from a place of empathy and compassion means that you see you're on a different path than me and I'm bowing out gracefully, right? And that's a true gift of compassion, even to the other person, because you're saying, I'm not going to let this get to the point where we both resent each other. But not everybody sees it that way. But you're seeing both sides of the situation. You're realizing, like, if I stay with this person or if I keep going down this road with this person, that there's going to be something that really makes me feel like, you know, maybe I'm getting pushed into something, or maybe I'm getting entrapped into something that I don't want to be in, right? That's going to come out later in the relationship and create a whole can of worms that you don't want to get into. So isn't the most compassionate thing that we can do for another person is to free them and to free ourselves? On the bottom, change, yeah. Understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement. Be willing to change yourself. That's what this feels like. And change the way that you show up in those romantic situations. And that's how you attract a healthy romantic relationship into your life. And part of that comes from just being radically honest with yourself. And, you know, sharing that radical honesty with others in the way that best suits you. I mean, it's not about lying to them, but, you know, sometimes we can't be completely radically honest with another person and saying, well, you're just not my type, or you're just not what I was looking for. You know, like, we want to kind of soften the blow a little bit. And maybe some of you are very blunt like that, and that's fine too. You know, whatever works for you, you know. But what I'm saying is just having that compassion and recognizing that, you know, especially if this person is ready to give themselves to you and you're not, you know, saying like, I understand where you're at, but I feel like what you're looking for is very different from what I'm able to give. And that's why we need to part ways, right? So it's just having that compassion. Yeah, Chiron. This is one of your Chiron energies here. Hurt and heal. Healing these past life wounds that have remained with you as difficult patterns. And letting them go is very challenging. It's incredibly overwhelming. At times it's incredibly heartbreaking. But recognizing that if you isolate yourself, all that's going to do is exacerbate the Chiron in this situation rather than healing it. The only way for us to face that is to truly face the fear of it, which means putting ourselves out there. And that can be the most challenging thing, but also equally so the most rewarding thing, especially if you want that healthy dynamic. Moon and Scorpio power. Don't be afraid to go to the depths. What is it that makes you feel like you're emotionally connected with someone? What is it that makes you feel like you're spiritually connected with someone? Don't be afraid to ask questions that help you gauge that as well, right? Like on those dates, like, you know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, how do you spiritually connect? What is your main practice of self-love and self-care? Like, what happens when you get really overtly annoyed with someone? How do you approach that situation? You know, understanding these things about this person and understanding them about yourself will help you really be able to connect with someone on a much deeper, profound level. But with the moon in Scorpio, it's really saying like there's power in not being afraid to go into the darkness with emotional, you know, the emotional side of things. It's okay. Like, I feel like everybody's so afraid to ask emotional questions anymore because they don't know what they're going to get met with. But what if, you know, you ask those questions and you right away are able to pick out who's for you and who's not? Isn't that a much more grounded way of approaching connections? And then we have Mars in Aquarius. So you could have Aquarius energy highly aspect in your chart as well. But we have rebellion, right? Going against the norm, doing things the way that works for you. It has to be this time. You've given so much of yourself to everyone else. You deserve to give to yourself. Even if that means leaving situations that you like this person, but you're not really in love with this person. You care about this person, but you realize that this is not going to work for you because it's going to be, you know, too overwhelming down the road. That's okay. Red and yellow barbet. Harmony returns after wrenching loss. Yeah, so you're going to be regaining your composure after something that was really, really disheartening and suffering and painful and heartbreaking. You know, you're going to come back to this balanced state and you're going to know what it is that works for you. We have macaw. Think laterally to solve a problem. Don't continue on the path that you were on before. It's not going to work. Sometimes you have to get really creative as you're approaching these new situations, and that's okay. Capricorn, buckle down and get to work. Didn't I say at the beginning a lot of Capricorn energy, and we're ending with Capricorn card coming out here? So again, you could have Capricorn highly aspect in your chart. You could have your Venus in Capricorn. You could have your 5th house in Capricorn, your 4th house in Capricorn. Okay. But it's, again, get to work. This is all about you taking action, the next step for your journey. So let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. Mars, taking action. Wow. All these cards that really come back to this is about you getting out. Don't be isolating anymore. Like, I feel like you're in this energy where it's like, if I isolate, I won't get hurt. But also equally so, pile one, if you isolate, you're never going to find your people, your tribe, your romantic partner. Like, you're always going to be alone. And at some point, that isolation is going to turn into incredible loneliness. Even if you've kind of gotten over that initial loneliness, after a while, it does become really lonely again, and it's unfulfilling. So it says will, vigor, and activism. The metal of Mars is iron, to rule with an iron fist, right? Iron sharpens iron. So you have to put yourself out there in order to get sharpened. Illustrates the pairing, their pairing. If the two cards appear together, you may be doing just that, but we didn't get iron. Maybe you pick another pile and it has iron. It says Mars may express itself through nightmares or distraught dreams. Make sure to utilize creativity when this planet is at work. Draw and dream journal as much as possible. says, with Mars on our side, we can assert ourselves in the world, getting out there. Our presence is felt and our voice is heard. Like a flame, Mars rises upward and helps us stand strong for what we believe in. Social justice movements are great examples of Mars energy in action, and that also goes hand in hand with Aquarius energy. Okay, it says, with the clarity of purpose, Mars leads us to peaceful change, the upholding of human rights, and representing the unrepresented. When Mars appears in a reading, there's strength and vigor required to face the challenges ahead. It may take the form of speaking your truth. Another confirmation, getting yourself out of a harmful relationship or job. Again, another confirmation. Or getting involved in activist work. As alchemists, we must be very precise with our dosage of Mars, as in uncontrolled amounts, it leads to outbursts and violence. Mars is the most potent when paired with Ashima, which is one of the 8 limbs of yoga, and that's non-violence. And Ashima, a good way of looking at Ashima is this, it's like a monkey and a fish. A monkey goes down to the pond and sees a fish in turmoil, and takes the fish out of the pond to sit with the monkey in the tree. That's an act of violence. Even though the monkey doesn't recognize it as an act of violence, it is absolutely toxic and poisoning to the fish to be in the air. It's deadly, right? So truthfully, when practicing Ashima, the only option that the monkey has is to go into the fish's element and sit with the fish on the surface of the water, next to the fish. That is the act of Ashima. There's nothing the monkey can do to make the fish feel better. The fish can only lean on the monkey for support in times of need, knowing that truthfully the fish has to go through the path itself. And that's just one way to look at Ashima. And you can check out, there's the 8 limbs of yoga. It's a book. It's a really small book. It's like 160 pages. It's the same size as this book, really, but it's such a helpful book to really understand the limbs of yoga. So for Mars to be paired with Ashima, that's a really powerful place, and that's why I feel like that information was coming through of trusting that if you are not resonating with someone, that it's okay for you to walk away. That's an act of Ashima, because you're saying we're not going to get along in the long run. It's not that you're trying to find ick, but I do feel like sometimes too, you have to let things unfold a little bit longer to see if you're really finding an ick, or if you're really nervous about getting your heart broken again. So it's powerful for you, pile 1. How you attract a healthy romantic connection is by allowing things to unfold, being very highly honest with yourself, and respecting yourself truthfully, while also not just trying to find an ick on anybody and everybody because of fear of getting brokenhearted. This is where you change, this is where you heal, and this is where you become empowered to making the best decision for yourself moving forward. And I feel like once you're able to take in these ideas and these feelings into accountability and having high respect for yourself, you're going to be able to manifest a truly powerful relationship into your life, and it's going to be everything that you could have ever imagined and so much more. So this is what I have for you here today. If you felt like this was your reading, leave a little fire emoji down below and say, today I practice non-violence to myself by respecting who I am, my wants, my needs, and my desires, and practicing radical honesty at all times. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly powerful message today. And until next time, pile 1, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Aquarius on it, and this is just something to choose from, but if you're here because you are an Aquarius, that's perfectly okay. If you were drawn to this shard of amethyst, Or perhaps you were called to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be a reading on what can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship. We are all here sharing this human experience together. This is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. We do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message does resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, and keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. Your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm honored to be sharing them here with you today. So with that being said, let's hop to it and find out what can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship. Pile number 2. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Pile number 2. Source, what would you like to share with us today? 5th house. We've got 5th house, Virgo, and the Sun. Okay, so this is almost identical to pile 1. The dice, with the exception of 1 dice here. So interesting already. Still a different energy though. It's interesting because it feels like there's a lot of, when you go out, like you might date pretty often. I do feel like you put yourself out there, pile 2. But I also feel like maybe some of your non-negotiables on your list are actually truly negotiable. Especially with this Virgo energy here, it's like looking for an exact match, a perfect match. Like if you like someone who's tall, who weighs 150 pounds, who is muscular, who makes a certain amount of money a year, or who has a certain type of house, a certain type of car, like honestly, these are all negotiable, right? This feels very like you've said, this is exactly what I want, and I cannot falter from that. Like you have a specific type and you don't want to falter from that type, or you have a specific requirement of how much somebody makes. Like especially this Virgo energy feels like you're trying to find someone that fits everything that you have on your list to a T. Otherwise, you're not going to settle down. And that in and of itself brings a lot of problems, because you might find someone who fits all of your check marks on your list, but who doesn't connect with you, who isn't emotionally available, who cheats on you, who, isn't who you're looking for. And, non-negotiables on a list should be things like your morals, right? What are your core values? Honor, integrity, honesty, compassion, kindness, service, right? Understanding, maybe. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do your goals align? Are you guys headed in completely different paths? I just feel like the non-negotiables that you've created are very menial and surface level because they're based on an old version of yourself that's trying to let go, but that has kind of been running rampant with your ego for a long time. And so your ego's just saying like, no, I can't let go of those things. Like they have to be aesthetically pleasing, and I know that it can be scary. I just feel like I need to tell you this, pile 2. I know that it can be scary to let go of trying to always date within your type, right? But maybe your type is what has led to toxic relationships. Maybe it's because there's something that is surrounding your type that is more of a trauma bond than a romantic connection, that's more codependent than free love. And if you really want this deep romantic connection with somebody, are you willing to let go of some of those more physical ideas and open up to more spiritual, emotional, and mental connections? And I know that you are a very attractive person, especially with the sun coming in here, and you know you're attractive, and that's wonderful. And I understand it's like, well, I don't want to date down. I just heard someone say that so loud right now. I don't want to date down. I don't want to be out of somebody's league. But, you know, being in this situation where you're only looking at the physical, you'll never develop something that is spiritual and can take you far beyond something that only the physical can. You know, like that's the thing. It's like physical has its limits. And that's what this feels like. And, you know, Virgos, they're very detail oriented. They're very aesthetic, you know, like they look at the aesthetics of things, and they're not quite like a Libra, but they're there with the Libra. I would say they're second to the Libras for sure when it comes to aesthetics. And because they are so hyper fixated on perfectionism, they're able to pick up things that other people won't. And I feel like those very things are the things that give you an ick, but they're actually things that, you know, like that. Maybe you don't want to date someone with tattoos, but a person comes into your life that has tattoos and they're your dream person. You know, like these are things that it feels like. That's what Source is saying here. It's like, so loosen up a little bit around your, this isn't even standards. Maintain your standards, but lessen the physical standards. That's the one. It's like the more surface level standards that you have. I get it. You want someone who makes you look beautiful, who makes you look handsome, who can stand in the arena and you know, contend with that. You want someone who, you know, isn't going to ask you to support them, or isn't going to make it seem like you have to take care of them. But look, finding someone that's independent and capable of caring for themselves is vastly different than saying they have to make $100K a year. You can find someone who is independent and takes care of themselves, and maybe they make $40,000 a year. And I just felt that in my stomach. I felt that in my stomach. Someone was like, no! So this really feels like letting go of, it's just very superficial. It's a very superficial list here. There's something that you have. It's like maybe reassessing that list. Like maybe they don't have to be 6 foot tall. Maybe they don't have to be 5 foot tall, right? Like maybe they don't have to be, you know, the measurements of Barbie, or maybe they don't have to be the measurements of Ken. You know what I mean? Like that's what this feels like. It's like there's something here. It's like you're not allowing yourself to experience the whole of what you can experience, because there's something that you've listed as a non-negotiable, or a group of things that you've listed as a non-negotiable that keep attracting very, like I heard destitute relationships into your life. That's what I heard. Interesting. Okay. They're not very connected. Or it's like it loses its lust very quickly. Okay. What can you do to attract a healthy relationship into your life, pile number 2? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I feel like the more you grow spiritually, the more you observe that list, and it evolves over time. Like it really evolves, but you want to be able to connect with someone who's going to evolve with you over time as well too. Like, because what happens if you grow spiritually and you outgrow this person spiritually, and they're not willing to grow with you spiritually because of these other things that were non-negotiables for you? What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship into your life, pile number 2? Thank you, Source. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship into your life, pile number 2? Yeah. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship into your life? Thank you. Bottom of the deck. The 9 of Coins in the reverse. Let go of the illusions. So honestly, even with the 7 of Swords here and the 9 of Swords or the 9 of Coins in the reverse, you know, there's this energy. It's like getting stuck in lost causes, and that's what this feels like. It's like there's a lost cause of the illusion that's driving you. Like, maybe you expect to date a businessman or businesswoman or business person, or you expect them to be able to step in and you guys meld your finances and you both are able to equally contribute. Or maybe you expect them to have a certain type of degree, right? Like, that's what this feels like. And all of those things in love, I'm going to tell you, Pile 2, all of those things don't really matter when it comes to love. You know, love is seeing a soul, not a face. And I feel like, yeah, this is something and I feel like this is something that's really hard to talk about too, because it's like you have this idea of what you want your love to be, but have been very unlucky in finding it. And I feel like that's what Source is coming through. This energy is very palpable. It's like really, really heavy. It's because you're putting too many stipulations on what this person needs to have physically, not who they are as a person. And because there are people that you've connected with that have all these things that you want physically, what are the patterns that you've noticed, Pile 2? What are the patterns you've noticed in your past? Maybe they've cheated on you. Maybe they've lied to you. Maybe they dipped out and abandoned you, right? Like, maybe they have, they didn't want you to mention that you were in a relationship with them. They wanted you to keep it under wraps. Like thinking about those patterns is like, I am getting this energy where those patterns are deeply connected to the stipulations that you have, the physical stipulations that you have, the material stipulations that you have in regards to, into loving your person or bringing in this romance into your life. You know, why do I hear that song by Baby Bash? You were there when the money gone, you'll be here when the money come. Like, you know, that's the thing. It's like that line is coming out so strong right now, right? And he's talking about his woman that was there, even though he was poor and struggling and trying to make it big. Like, she was still there. She didn't care. It wasn't about the money. It was about the connection that the two of them had. And that's why he said, and then when I make it big, you'll still be there when the money come. Like, then I get to share that with you. Like, I get to give all of that I didn't have that opportunity to give before. And I just heard someone say, I am too damn old to be playing those types of games. I just heard someone say that so loud right now. And I get it that seems like a game, but it feels like, Pile 2, you're very focused on the material world. It's not that you're not spiritual. It's not that you're not trying to heal. It's not that you're not trying to, better yourself along the way. I do feel like you're doing those things too, but I feel like when it comes to love, maybe it's because you have always been forced into a position of taking care of someone else. Or you were always forced into the position of supporting someone else, supporting their dreams, supporting their life. And that can definitely play havoc on what you want in a partner. But also, we have to trust that Source isn't going to be bringing in the person into our lives that's going to drag us down when we're opening up to the love that's meant to be in our lives. We have to trust that. And so I feel like that's why Source is saying there's just too many physical attributes and stipulations that you have that aren't maybe the person that's for you. They're not going to fit in line with that person. Maybe this person's going to make far more money than what you've said, but you put some sort of cap on it, right? Or maybe they're going to be more attractive than what you considered, but because you're so used to seeing these types of people, you haven't considered another type of attraction. That's what this really feels like. And it's definitely a mental thing. But again, with the 9 of Coins coming out on the bottom of the deck already in the reverse, it's showing that there's an illusion about the material world. Oh, I'm a material girl, live in a material world. Yeah, okay. So, and I get it. Yeah, we're trying to balance this out. We need to balance this out. This energy. Okay. Yeah. It's misguided. There's this misguided energy that's coming from it. It's from being a hurt in the past, which makes sense, right? But Source is saying, I'm trying to balance out. I'm trying to bring justice in from the past, but because you're suffering from the past, your heartbreak from the past is what's guiding you into asking for certain types of people into your life now. We're not actually able to bring you in the person that's most in resonance with you, because there's this, you know, and the Knight of Swords in the reverse is a very interesting energy, because it's talking about being misguided, not seeing clearly, but it's also talking about conceitedness. And the conceitedness is coming from a state of pain. Okay, it's the emotional ego saying, I'm not going to settle for less than XYZ, but XYZ being the material world. Okay, so that's what Source is saying here. And the only way for us to balance this out, if you see the scale is tipping in regards to this is what's outweighing the scales right now. This misguided energy, this seeing things from an unclear point. And it's interesting. You have 7, 8, and 9, because in the Tarot Marseille, Justice is number 8. That's what the original decks were. And but we see it's all jumbled, right? We don't see it in succession with one another. And so it's almost like we're trying to bring balance. We're trying to level out that balance, bring to you what's rightfully yours. But spiritually, there's something here that you don't want to let go of, because there's a fear of maybe attracting back into your life what was once in your life, or there's a fear of stepping backwards here with the 9 of Coins, which is the illusion itself playing havoc. Let's get some clarifiers right away. The 7 of Wands coming out. You will overcome this. You will overcome this. You'll recognize that there's more to it than that. And the wands are actually connected with our spiritual growth as well. You know, more so than any of the other cards. It's a desire driven by passion. It's a desire driven by spirit. It's a desire that comes from something deep within our being. And so I feel like there's something here that's going to eventually outweigh that in a great way. And you're going to be given insight to this very behavior or this very belief that's been holding on. And that's going to open you up to receiving that romantic love in your life, that healthy relationships as well. I just feel like there's a lot of repeat cycles that have been unfolding in your life because of, you know, maybe this is an old list. Have you updated your list? Have you updated what you desire? You know? Yeah. Happiness comes from when you recognize what emotionally turns you on, not what physically turns you on. And also letting go of family situations. Maybe you just got so used to being in a family dynamics. Maybe your family is really well off, right? And they don't have to be, but I feel like maybe your family was really well off and taking care of you, and that's something you grew used to, and you're like, that's what I want in my life. And it's not that you don't deserve that, but it's like, if that's the only factor that you're taking into play here, imagine what that leaves for interpretation to Source, right? Like, well, you only want someone that's going to take care of you. You're not asking for someone that loves, cherishes, respects, admires, and honors you. So I don't have to worry about those, right? We get that's why they say, be careful what you ask for. So it's like, there's a need to really go back and recognize, was there something here that might have been broken or disoriented that was leading me down this pathway? Maybe your family wasn't well off, but then when you started working, you were taking care of them. And again, that feeling of, I don't want to be the one that supports everyone else. And that's why it's saying, like, going back and observing those things that were maybe holding you back on the bottom of the deck, so we can bring in the gift, right? Source wants to give you this, to materialize this, right? For you to finally experience this in this realm. But it's really hard for Source to do that when we're going up against an old belief system that has overshadowed all other systems in your life, right? Those cycles that are coming through. And this could be something that you're not even consciously aware of. Or you might not even be aware that this is how you felt because you haven't actually taken time to write out what your non-negotiables are, right? And in non-negotiables, I always suggest this for clients. Like, when you're thinking of non-negotiables, think about goals. Think about, and not materialistic goals, but life goals, right? Like, think about life goals. Think about your core values. Think about who you want as a person, not the things that they bring with them, but These things are all things because together, if you resonate in those levels, right, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, then the option for you to grow physically together becomes much more smooth and fluid than just focusing on the physical itself. And that's what Source is really bringing forward through for you here. The way for you to attract a healthy romantic relationship is to reobserve what patterns you might be bringing from your family dynamic, especially with the 3 of Cups here and the 8 of Cups together. What is it that you can let go of? What is it that you can maybe refresh even on your journey? You will overcome this, though. I feel like the spiritual growth is waiting for you to emotionally reconnect with what it is that matters to you now. So like, especially if you've been growing spiritually on this journey, again, this could just be an old way of thinking that you just haven't gone back and been like, is this really what I want? Or is there something else here? But I do feel like there's something here that maybe before you're like, I don't want to take care of somebody, or I need somebody to earn X amount of dollars a year. You could have even said something ridiculous like, I want them to earn $5 million a year, right? And not realize that that might still be blocking you from calling it real romantic love, because your emotional ego is still holding on to that. Like, we need that. We can't survive without that. But the truth is that money, while we need it to survive, if that's the only thing that we base anything in our lives on, we're greatly missing out on the entire experience of life. And I know that's really hard for a lot of people to wrap their minds around, because we've been taught by society that the only thing that matters is money. And while it's a necessity, when all we do is focus on it, we lose sight of ourselves, and money becomes something we idolize. And money is only meant to be a tool in this realm. So we need to look at it as that. It's a tool. Sometimes we have the right tool, sometimes we don't. And sometimes we have to get creative in how we use our tools, right? Yeah, yin, to receive here. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, and Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces with intuition, trust, patience, spirituality, and receptivity. So again, this is about grounding in the emotional side, the spiritual side, the intuitive side. This is what you are going to benefit from the most, pile number 2, is recognizing what kind of a spiritual partner that you want. Also not condemning them to a certain package is what they're saying. You know, especially a person, like if you're like, oh, this is the only person that can fulfill that role, you're also limiting yourself. And that's what Source is like, freeing yourself from the limitations, whether that's imposed limitations by society or whether that's self-imposed limitations, and opening up to possibilities. That's what Source wants you to do here. And that's what will help you attract a healthy romantic relationship, is opening up to the possibilities of who it could be. And that same goes for those of you that feel like you're on a labeled relationship journey, is not condemning it to being only a certain person in a certain package. Open up to the possibility of who it could be and let Source take care of the rest. Trusting that Source is going to bring in who is meant for us. And that's also hard to do along the way, but it gets easier the more you practice and the more consistent you are with recognizing that it's not about the package, it's about alignment. Okay, so yeah, on the bottom, I love this. We've got Venus in Taurus with romance. Source is trying to help you manifest romantic love right now. Right now. This is something that we're trying to bring into your life. Okay, but also with him being behind her, there's this element of not seeing clearly the whole of this person, or not seeing clearly the whole of the type of person that you want, right? It's going to take you by surprise, but only when you really let go of the limiting factors of the connection, of it having to be, they have to look a certain way, they have to weigh a certain amount, they have to have a certain type of body, they have to have certain type of money, they have to have a certain type of car. Like, none of that ultimately matters. And the thing, okay, for those of you, because I just heard someone say, yes, it does. Let me ask you this. All right, here we go. The very things that you're judging someone else based on, would you yourself want to be judged on those too? That shoe is very uncomfortable to put on the other foot. But it can bring with it so much wisdom if we're willing to do so. So of all those things that you're judging another person that they have to come into your life, what if those very same judgments were made about you? You had to make a certain amount of money, you had to weigh a certain weight, you had to have a certain body type, you had to have a certain type of face, a certain color of eyes, you had to have a certain color of hair, you had to have a certain type of family, certain type of background, you had to speak a certain language. Right? Like, think about these things that are really, truly, there. If we're putting them in non-negotiable, we have to be willing to be scrutinized by those very same things. And if you don't want to be scrutinized by those very same things, then do they really belong as a non-negotiable? The hanging parrot. Yeah, seeing it from a fresh perspective. Gain knowledge by surrendering to the universal flow. Trusting in source. Trusting that source has a plan for you here. Trusting that source knows what source is doing. Way better than we could ever hope to imagine to know, because we're just not like that. Right? We're here to experience the wonder of life. Yeah. And then we have hummingbird spirit flying out with be here now. Coming into this present moment. So again, there's something from the past that's weighing on you. And again, it could be a conscious belief that you have. It could be a subconscious belief, but recognizing that you're not in the present moment when you're judging in love, right? Like, there's something here that's coming up. So whether it's going back and judging people based on past experiences and not giving them a chance to be who they are, or judging people on past experiences and not giving them a chance to prove themselves worthy as your partner. Okay? On the bottom, life is speeding up. So there's something here that's going to come in really fast, and I feel like it's going to take you by surprise. It's going to be very unexpected. Whoa. Okay, just dropped the cards. I'll have to pick up in just a second, but the 9 of coins came out again. So you want something that's very beneficial, very abundant, very clear. And it's going to be coming in and making itself known. But if you're not willing to allow it to unfurl the way that it's going to, then you might be letting go of something that was actually meant for you. That's why it's like our blessings are never going to come in the packages that we had expected them to come in. Not ever. They always come in the package we need them to come in. And, you know, that's sometimes hard because it's like, no, we need it to be this way. But do we really? We want it to be that way, but source knows better what we need than we do. Part of fortune. Tap into your talents. Another thing here is refocusing your energy on the things that make you feel happy, connected, you know, content. And that's going to help you draw closer to romantic love because you're going to be in that state of universal flow, like with the hanging parrot energy, the state of Zen. Mars and Charitot. So you may have resonated with pile number 1 as well. And if you were drawn to pile number 1, I'm just going to say there might be additional messages for you there too. If not, that is perfectly okay. You're never required to watch more than one reading. Only if you feel called to. It says, understand that nothing is wholly good or evil, that even the strongest poison can heal in the right dose. Yeah, so recognizing this too, like even if you do have these stipulations, like it's not that it's a bad thing. Right? Like having a physical stipulation or having a physical want for a certain type of money. It's not a bad thing. But also giving yourself freedom. Like, okay, so if they don't make $100K a year, is that something that we can set as a goal as a couple to make sure that we can bring that into our lives, right? That's another thing to look at. So again, we have change. Yeah, you might have resonated with pile 1. I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement. Change is the only thing that's consistent in life. If we're trying to stay stagnant, we are not growing. So we have to let ourselves grow. On the bottom, health. I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. Interesting that health would come out here. I feel like this is just allowing yourself to reconnect with that part of you inside that's saying, you know, your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health. Like, these are all the things that are going to help you change the way you see the world around you and invite in the type of romantic love that you want. There is a gift here that's waiting to materialize in your life. Okay, but there's something here from a past situation that's holding on with the Eight of Cups, and it has to do with family dynamics. Okay, we have the Sun God and Ezra. Free yourself from lies and deceptions and live your truth. Shine in your own light. Other people's truths are no use to you. And I feel like that's the thing. It's like this, and the lies and deception are the illusions of the physical world, right? That's the lies and deceptions that we have a tendency to believe and believe wholeheartedly. And that's the thing here. And so it could come from family. Like, your family always put in, you need somebody who makes this amount. You need somebody who lives life like this, or you need this, you know? Are those really truly the things that you desire? Or is it what someone told you that you have to desire? Okay, so yeah, we have Saturn. This is a very difficult situation. Feeling restricted, experiencing struggle, learn hard work and patience. You know, and struggle is about facing our own obstacles and facing our old beliefs and the things that keep us in a state of limitation. And that's, you know, feeling restricted. This is something that's been restricting you for a long time. Yeah, this came out in pile 1 too. We have Mars in Aquarius with rebelling against what it was that you were told it had to be like. Seeing things from a different perspective here, like he's stabbing this sword into this guy's third eye, right? So it's like seeing things from a fresh perspective, trusting the spiritual journey, trusting your spiritual growth. And then we have Venus in Capricorn here with convention, moving away from conventional norms. Because I feel like for you, pile 2, like the type of romantic relationship that you're calling in is going to be so different than what you even expected it to be. It's going to be a lot more free and open, and there's going to be a lot of things that you experience with this person that you didn't know were possible, but it comes by letting things unfold. Okay, so we have Western Bluebird, lend a helping hand and never forget that spring will return. It's been difficult, but the sun will always shine again. Okay, I know it's easy to say, well, if this is what they want me to do, I'm never going to find love. That's the illusion, right? That's the belief that we're looking at. It's like there are plenty of people out there. There are plenty of people who are meant to resonate with you. And if you're always saying, oh, it's, well, all the people in the past didn't, then that belief gets cemented time and time again, and you don't free yourself from it. You have to choose to change, to believe something different. And that comes from telling yourself something new, something different. Check out positive psychology. That might be something that you would benefit from, pile number 2. Yeah. Last quarter moon, tying up loose ends, letting go of the past. Yeah, so you're letting go of the past. You're letting go of what it is that's been controlling you for so long. And I really feel like that's a belief system that has developed along the journey that's keeping you closed off and small-minded. And maybe you're aware of it, maybe you're not. But focusing on what it is that you truly want. Like, what type of person do you truly want? Not what they make, not what they look like. Like, strip all of that away. If none of that mattered, and all that was left was the type of person they were, what would that look like to you, pile 2? And then ask for that. Ask for that. No age, no skin color, no background, no culture, none of that. None of that matters. Okay? What kind of person do you want in your life? Do you want someone who is honest? Do you want someone who's kind? Do you want someone who's loving and nurturing, compassionate, strong? What do you want? Don't focus on the physical. Okay, and that's what this is saying. That's how you attract healthy romantic relationship into your life. Let go of the physical. And then what will materialize will be far better than you could have ever imagined. Okay, so let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. We have reddening. Interesting. The number 15 card. And that makes me feel like the devil energy, which is like walking away from the temptations. And that's easy. Wow, a squirrel just like fell on the roof. I don't know if you heard that big old bang. That was a squirrel falling on the roof. Yeah, okay, so this is a really powerful card here. We have life force, kundalini, and blood. So something very spiritual coming into your life. Reconnect to physical practices that bring you vitality. It's likely you know which ones bring that rosy glow to your cheeks and sparkle to your eye. Take note of how many cards in your reading contain the color red. So we've got red here. And I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of red, but we do have red here, red on all the other cards back there. You may sense the physical vitality of the querent by the presence and absence of this life force of color. Yeah, so I do feel like this is reconnecting with your root chakra as well. It says the reddening indicates a full expression of the work. Everything is alive. The heart pumps, the cells celebrate, the blood sings its way through the body. What was dormant has been awakened. What was once considered base is now noble. Aches and pains are integrated. Shadows are acknowledged and interwoven. When the reddening card appears, it signifies health, and we got the health card out too. Power and a climax of the work. Yeah, so this is letting go of something and opening up to what can be. So if you've been on a labeled relationship journey, this could be letting go of what you once thought it was. If you've, been spiritually growing, this could be letting go of what you once thought love was, okay? A coalescing of what has been learned. The laboratory is no longer separate from the alchemist or from the work, but the three are now one. What occurs in the body is reflected in the world and vice versa. Through the process of the reddening, we move out of the head and into the physical body. It's not funny, as I was saying, this is the physical. It's something about the physical. So now you're going to be feeling more. More specifically, we reach the heart. Yeah, being driven by the heart instead of the mind and the ego. It is there that the alchemist finds the sacred ingredients of power and kindness. It says to go deeper, read the poem The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams, or to ponder the red of the heart, the beating heart. Yeah, so this is moving into what the heart truly wants. And I feel like that's really synchronistic to what we were talking about, because this could be a family belief that's coming in. It's like, oh, like money could be a family belief. Looks could be a family belief. Like these things that are very physical, but that are illusions, are family belief. And what Source is trying to bring you is something of sustenance that is going to lift you up, make you feel whole again, and make you feel wanted and loved. And the way to get there is to let go of those old beliefs that may be keeping you very limited. And that's how you can bring in romantic relationship, a healthy romantic relationship into your life. So that's what you can do to manifest a healthy romantic relationship into your life. Well, we're going to get there. Okay, so very powerful reading, very difficult situations that you've been through, Pile 2. I'm so sorry you've had to experience this Saturn energy in the way that it has presented itself in your life, but I hope that you honor the fact that you are truly powerful and so strong and capable of overcoming so much. Excuse me, and let that be what leads you moving forward. Okay, so this is what I see here for you today. If you feel like this is your reading, leave a red heart emoji down below and say, today I connect and tune in with my heart's desires to allow me to experience the world from a spiritual, emotional, and grounded state while letting go of the ego and freeing myself to manifest love into my life. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Saturn on it, or perhaps you were called to this bloodstone, Or maybe you're drawn to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be your reading on what can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship. We're all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. We do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, if the message does happen to resonate with you, it'd mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while also keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. Your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm honored to be sharing them here with you today. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out what can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship, pile number 3. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? What would you like to share with us today, Source? So we've got the 7th house, we've got Scorpio energy, and we've got Neptune. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? Not be so afraid of the unknown. I feel like there's this energy where you get to a certain point of talking to people and suddenly the unknown comes into play. Like, how are we going to make this work? Maybe there's a distance between you and them, or like, it feels like there's just something here where it's like there's such a huge unknown. And it feels like what Source is saying is not to be afraid of that unknown. Like, own your power in that unknown. And recognize that it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know what the next step is. It's okay to not know what the ultimate outcome is of any situation that you're getting into. Because I feel like there's this element that you don't want to be surprised. And part of that comes from, I don't want to be surprised in, heartbreak, or I don't want to be surprised in, jealousy or oppression or obsession, even with the Scorpio energy here. I don't want to take on someone else's karma, or I don't want to take on someone else's healing journey. But also recognizing that, you can trust your intuition here. You're a very intuitive person. You could have Scorpio or Pisces highly aspect in your chart. You could have Libra in the 7th house. You could have Libra in the 12th house is coming through. Scorpio moon or rising. Pisces in Neptune, and Pisces in Venus is coming in as well. And I feel like the thing is that there's too many variables at play for you, pile 3. It's like you like to have a little bit of control over things. Like, you want to know what's next. You maybe are really good at planning life out, and you want to be able to plan in a relationship as well and have that planned out too. An element of control is coming in and needing to be surrendered here. And especially with Scorpio, like, just this want to be able to control the outcome. That's what I'm feeling here. When Scorpios are in their shadow, they're very controlling. They're very obsessive. They're very possessive. They're jealous. They're envious. They're very much in these shadowy energies, but also recognizing that the shadow is not necessarily a bad place to be at. When we step into our light attributes, we can use those shadows to enhance our journey and recognize moving forward. I feel like that's something too. It's like, maybe in the past you were very jealous of other people. Like, if you had a partner in the past and maybe there was an element of always keeping an eye on their phone, checking up on them, finding out their passwords to certain accounts. This is like that feeling that's coming in. Yeah, okay, they're telling me that's right. Okay. So there's a need to trust, okay? And this is not to blindly trust anyone, but there's a need to give some essence of trust to someone. or to a person that you want to have in your life as romantic interest. If you are walking in right away without any trust and going based on not having trust, then there's no possible way for them to build trust. And I know it hurts when your trust is broken, but you can't assume that everybody that you meet is going to break your trust like that, like in the past. So that could come from, having been cheated on, or also just having been put in some really awkward situations. Like you had an ex who had a friend that they were also highly attracted to, who they kept in their lives, and you never really quite knew the story. Like, that's what this feels like. Or they were constantly making you feel like you just weren't that important to them, that there were other people that were far more important to them. And that's what it just feels like. There's this element of, as long as I can see with my own two eyes that this person is only talking to me or is only connecting with me, then I'm going to feel much better about it. But a lot of this reading has been about putting the shoe on the other foot, which is interesting, right? So it's like, if that's how you feel about a person that's coming into your life, would you also want that same treatment toward yourself? And I already heard someone like, they can look at my phone, I don't have anything to hide. It's not necessarily about looking. Okay, that's not what this is. This is that immediate distrust. And I already hear someone using that, well, I have nothing to hide, so they would have every reason to trust me. But not having anything to hide and still wanting a modicum of privacy, because that's just maybe what you're used to, or, there's that expectation. Like, imagine you had a journal and you're journaling about your innermost private thoughts. You wouldn't want just anyone to come in and open your journal and read it, right? And I feel like that's the same thing. That's the same kind of feeling here. It's like there's a trust that if I leave my journal out with my partner, they're going to respect me enough to not go through it. Not because there's anything discriminating inside, but because that's very personal. What I'm exploring in my journal is incredibly personal. But if they came in and they just decided to sit down and read it like it was, the next best book on the bestseller list, it would make you feel like your privacy had been violated. And that's what this feels like. There's something here about privacy violation. You're already going in and it's like you're expecting to get passwords, or you're expecting to get access to phones within a very short amount of time to have some essence of control, or a need to confront any questionable behavior, even though not having that status in their life or that label in their life. And I feel like this energy is like taking a step back and asking, like, is this the type of behavior I would want someone to approach me with? That's what's going to bring in healthy relationships. Because the more that you are unwilling to trust others, just basic human decency, like trust that they're going to be a decent human, the harder it's going to be for you to find a healthy relationship, because you're always going to end up connecting with people who mirror that distrust back to you, like who do very shady things, who act really shady behind closed doors, or who treat you like you don't matter. And there's a lot of guilt here too. I feel like you always feel guilty when you're looking through those things, but there's the element of the emotional ego that's overshadowing that, like, well, at least I know now, even though the guilt is still there. Like, it's a really, I never know how these readings are gonna go, and then we get into it and I'm always like, okay, so this is where we're going with that. So what do you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? There's going to be a need for trust and faith. Even if you've been betrayed in the past, like, you have to trust yourself. And what this is saying is that, and this came out in the collective reading too, so if you're interested, check that out. There's the timestamp in the description box below. But this is like saying, I don't trust myself to make a sound decision for a person to come into my life that is trustworthy. And because of that lack of trust for self, that's mirroring back to you in the outer realm. And so it's a reflection back onto yourself. Like, you don't trust yourself, and so you're naturally vibrating into cosmos that are untrustworthy. It's not that you're not deserving of it. You absolutely are, but it's almost like I can't make a sound decision in my life that's saying I trust a person to come into my life. And so you end up connecting with people who mirror that back to you, to trigger that within you. Let's see what else comes out for you. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship into your life? Yeah. The Six of Wands in the reverse. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship into your life? Pile number 3. Yep, the Moon in reverse. Interesting. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship into your life? Yeah, it feels dangerous to trust. It feels dangerous to trust yourself. It feels dangerous to even try to extend that trust to another person. I keep hearing that energy coming in, but I've always done that, and I've always gotten the short end of the stick, or I've always gotten screwed. Yeah, the Knight of Cups on the bottom. And I feel like the Knight of Cups is showing that it doesn't have to be something super profound from the get-go, but small steps are going to make a difference. You know, out of all the Cups cards, he has the most shallow cup, right? Like, his cup is the most shallow out of all the cups. And the Knight of Cups is interesting because he's also the most superficial love interest. Even though he is coming in with a romantic heart, it's like it's just very surface level. And I feel like that's something too that's just playing here. It's like there's something here that's very superficial. It's like, well, you know, if we've been dating for 10 weeks, then I deserve access to all of their passwords. But really, I mean, you know, even if you're willing to give yours, like that's a big ask for someone. And this kind of, look, I've been down this road, okay? From personal experience, I've also talked with a lot of clients who've done this too, but from personal experience, I can say, like, this is not something that ends well, is digging into people's personal lives just to satisfy the curiosity of, are they betraying me? And it's a defense mechanism, right? Checking in on their accounts, checking in on everything that they're doing. It's a defense mechanism. And if you're already feeling something like that, then it's time to take a step back, is what Source is saying here, and recalibrate and trust your intuition. And, you know, like if there's a Knight of Cups energy here, there's someone here that's offering you something, but you're not actually ready to receive it, pile 3. Like you're not actually ready to receive this type of love just yet because you're still healing from a past situation. And I feel like that is something to take into account too. It's like you want the romantic love, but you're still holding on to old patterns that are betraying you, that are putting you into awkward situations. And if you're not ready to let go of those patterns and those behaviors, that is a number one sign that you're not ready to let in that type of love yet. And that's okay. There's never needs to be a time frame like, oh, it's been 10 years, I should be ready. Look, healing takes whatever time healing takes. That's it. If it takes 10 years, if it takes 30 years, you know, of course you want it to take less time, but it's going to take whatever time it takes. And so instead of trying to put a limit on yourself, like I should be healed by now, rather it's like, why do I feel the need to continue down these old patterns that may or may not have gotten me into trouble in the past? And I feel like that's something profound here. Yeah, because there's this fear of giving love right now. There's this fear of the future. It's like, if I can figure it out now, then I won't have to be hurt in the future. A lack of self-trust. Trusting yourself is where hope lies. Yeah. Trusting yourself is where hope lies. That's where you find balance again within yourself, within your journey. And part of that comes from, maybe your mom cheated on your dad, or, you know, your mom cheated on her partner, that your other mom, okay, like whatever kind of connection your parents had, it doesn't matter. But I just want to say, it's like there's someone here where there was a mother that hurt the family. could have abandoned you, could have been very mistrustful, very overbearing, right? But there's something here that continues to irritate you with the Six of Wands. There's something here that continues to irritate you and trigger this discomfort that feels like a warning that if I satisfy that warning, that's the only way I'm going to feel better about myself, even though the guilt is overwhelming. And so right now, the hope comes from allowing yourself an opportunity to trust and let things unfold. Eventually, people will show their true colors. Yes, there are people who are really, really good at manipulating others. Yes, that does exist. Okay, but the minute that you think that those are the only types of people that you're going to attract in your life, that's the minute that that becomes true, right? Whatever a person thinks they are is what is. That's the way it works. And so there's this energy of letting go of that belief, right? It's like the chip on the shoulder that's coming in. You're not your mom. You're not your past relationships, right? Who are you now, pile 3? Who have you become? Like, all that aside, through your healing, who have you become today? Are you standing proud as a person you have fallen in love with? Or are you still questioning your worth? Are you still questioning your value? Right? These are all things to take into consideration, but there's something here that's blocking you from almost seeing your actions as potentially toxic or potentially, potentially disruptive. And it does feel like your patterns, this could have been someone who did this to you, and then there's this feeling like, oh, well, they're just all going to keep coming in and digging into my life and digging into my privacy that way. Yeah, the Seven of Swords. What can you do to attract a healthy romantic relationship? There's truth behind this. Yeah, it's how you're seeing the situation. Like, it's almost like when you go and you're trying to validate your actions, even though they make you feel a certain way, right? Like, say you know that you shouldn't blow up at someone, but every time something happens, you blow up and you have to be right and you do everything in your power to be right. Only then afterwards, you both have screamed at each other, you said things that you don't mean, and you end up having to come back every time you apologize, even though you feel terrible about it in the moment. The only thing that you can do is choose to change what happens those moments it arises, right? So say someone goes to the bathroom and they leave their phone on the table. Are you naturally going to grab for it and go through it just without even thinking? It's like becoming conscious of those triggers within you. It's like, well, but they left it there. So obviously they didn't care if I went through it. Whether they cared if you went through it or not, is it your right to go through it? And we can justify it to any means, right? We can justify, well, I've been hurt in the past, but that basically says that your past is determining whether or not you give this here now person a chance. Would you want someone to compare you to their past relationships? And like I said, this whole reading has been about putting the shoe on the other foot. And it's just very interesting because that's the underlying collective energy. And it's like, okay, so say that the person that you're going to dinner with, they've been cheated on by all their past partners and you've never cheated on anybody, right? Like, that's not something that you've ever done. But they're judging you, thinking that you're going to cheat on them because everybody in their past is cheated. That already makes you feel bad because you're like, but I've never cheated on someone, right? So you don't want them to judge you that way. That's the energy that's coming out. And so it's like there's some sort of judgment here. There's some sort of belief system here that's at play where it's like you're automatically putting everybody into this. Like, again, cheaters are always going to cheat, but then saying that everybody I meet is a cheater. That's a false belief. And then it's like, everybody in my past was controlling, manipulative, and narcissist. So that means that everybody I meet is going to be a narcissist. It's like letting the past disrupt your life now. And that's why you're not connecting with healthy relationships. It's like You're not yet healing from a past situation that's been very overwhelming and very hard to heal from. And it's like that's still putting you in awkward positions, right? The Lover's card here. You have an opportunity to make a choice. What's your choice going to be? Are you going to choose happiness? Look at this, the 9 of Swords and the 9 of Cups together. Are you going to choose happiness, free from illusion, based on what you're emotionally feeling? Or are you going to let your mind win? Are you going to let the mind dictate what you see in front of you? Are you going to let the emotional ego have its heyday with you like it has in the past? Eating away at your heart, eating away at your soul. You know, and the choice you make now, just remember there is no right or wrong. There's only what's right or wrong for you right now. But being conscious and aware of the actions you're taking is the only way for you to truly heal from them. Look at this, all in the mind. You have all Swords cards coming out as clarifiers. Okay? A lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a fear of changing. Because if I change and I don't do this anymore, what happens when it happens? You're basically saying no matter who you attract into your life, they're going to follow the same old path that you've been down. You're saying no one new can come in because everyone is going to be reminiscent of the past me, of the past situations that I've been in. You're already choosing this path before the path unfolds before you. And so asking for healthy romantic love isn't really necessarily about asking for it. Sometimes we have to change ourselves. And I feel like that's the main thing for you, Pile 3, is changing yourself and really honoring, like, how do you feel about letting a relationship in right now? Not the romanticized relationship that you think about or daydream about. I'm talking about like letting in a real person right now, today. Someone you meet, you go and have coffee with, and letting them in and trusting them to be responsible with your heart right now. And I feel that. I feel that in my chest. I feel like a pressure in my chest. Like that's too much. That's too big of an ask. Because I already know they're going to break my heart. So you're already setting it up for failure. Even if this next person could be your dream person. This is a thought pattern that is sabotaging you before you even have a chance to let things unfold. And it's a heavy, the thing is this is a very heavy thought pattern. Like even the Lover's card is ruled by Gemini. We have Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Gemini, and Aquarius energy. Okay, this is all in the head. This is all in your head. Okay, and it's, and the thing is that As a Man Thinketh, James Allen. This is a great book for you if you ever get a chance or feel called to reading this. Such a great book. It's not a very long book. It's like 90 pages. It's just a little tiny book. But, you know, it's talking about like what we think we are, we become. Right? So the same is true for situations in our lives. What we think a situation is, it will become. It's not, we're not trying to set up self-fulfilling prophecies, but we do when we're worried about it, when we're in our fear about it. And that's the thing. It's like you may want a healthy romantic relationship, Pile 3, but I feel like deep in your heart right now, the fear that's ruling your decisions is based around the pain that you've actually gone through. Yes, all the way that you feel about that is absolutely valid. But projecting that out onto each new person that you meet is unfair. Because you're saying that they're no better than the past people that you've met. So how are you ever supposed to meet a healthy person if every single person that you are meeting you're automatically biased about because of the past situations that you've been through? What that's showing is that there's a need for healing. If you can't let a person show you who they are without making a prior judgment, you need to come into a space of healing and groundedness. And being okay with who you are, being okay with where you're at, being okay with loving yourself, trusting yourself, admiring yourself, valuing yourself, seeing yourself with eyes of unconditional love. Only when you're able to do these things, when you see the self through unconditional love, Can you ever have that be reflected back to you out in the outer realm? Right now, there's a lot of weeding that needs to be done within the internal realm, and it's starting with the mind. There's a trap here among the mind that's been playing a huge part in all your connections. And the first thing that keeps coming up is, I can't trust them. I can't trust them. And the thing is, it's not that they're not necessarily trustworthy or that they aren't trustworthy people. But if you never give someone a chance, you'll never know. And you'll always be worse off because of it. You'll never let anybody into your life because of that. So this is saying to give yourself an opportunity is to really heal from those feelings. But also, I feel like healing from those feelings is validating how you felt going through those situations. Because pile 3, what you experienced and how it made you feel, that's all valid. Whether that's betrayed, upset, frustrated, angry, livid, mad, whatever it is, sad. All those emotions may be wrapped up into one weird basket. But if you don't validate that, these emotions, whoa, my left ear just started ringing. That's where your spiritual growth is, okay? That's where your spiritual growth is. If you don't validate those feelings, they're going to be the very thing that keeps you alone for your life, because you're not ever going to let somebody in, right? We don't have any emotions out except for the Knight of Cups. Romance wants to come into your life, especially with the lovers on top, right? Or the lover on top, because in the Tarot Marseille, it's the lover. He's the lover that has a choice to go between temptation and lust, or wisdom and valor, okay? And so the thing is here is that you have a decision to make, but you feel alone. You feel like no one understands you. You feel like no one's going to understand you. And you feel like, oh, well, if they're meant for me, they're going to prove to me right off the bat that they're trustworthy. But if you walk into a situation, no matter how hard someone tries to prove that they're trustworthy, you're always going to hold skepticism over them. Right? The same would be true if it were you. If someone was acting like that with you, they would always hold skepticism over you. They would never believe you. They would never give you room to show your worth and your value. Okay? Whoa, that is too many cards, Source. This one? Okay. On the bottom, yeah, this is identity check. House 1, identity check, the ego check, right? Individuality, self-image, and your approach to life. So again, your approach to life. How are you approaching life? You're immediately saying no one is trustworthy. Everyone has it out for you. You know, this is something that's really, really hard to observe, especially that like when it's okay. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, if you're bilingual, you're gonna understand this. If you're not, this is something that's hard to wrap your mind around. And please understand, if you're not bilingual, it's no just at you anyways. You know, like that's a huge portion of the world. But someone who's bilingual, who speaks a language that other people don't, and they find other people who speak that language, they can understand what's going on. Okay, but if you go in and say your mother tongue is English and you go in some place where they speak Arabic and you have no idea what anybody's saying, what's the first thought that comes to head? Oh, everybody in here is talking about me because I don't understand them. Like, I'm going to tell you, the truth is that those people can't assume that you do or you don't know Arabic. And most of those people have far more important things to talk about than you. But it's such a programmed response. Like, oh, I don't understand the language, so immediately that means that they're talking about me. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not. But why is that what we go to? Like, why is that the immediate response that we go to? And so that's what this feels like. It's a programmed response. Like, as soon as someone comes into your life, your programmed response is they're not trustworthy. And so even if you had a translator in love, i.e. a translator in Arabic, that was telling you everything that those people would say, you're not going to trust that they're telling you the truth, because in your mind, they're talking about you. The same thing, a translator in love. If you had someone who was translating to you, like, this is an honest person, they're trustworthy, they're great, they're amazing, they're going to love you until the end of time. It does not matter what they say to you, you're still already going to you're not going to trust them. Because this is an internal belief system that's at play. The only one that can face that belief system is you, pile 3. You're the only one who can face it. On the bottom, yeah, we have Saturn in Libra with devotion. Look at this bird. This bird is dead. Dead. On the ground. Isn't that telling? You know, it's like, you want this person, this partner in your life. Why do I hear that? It's Dead and Gone, that song. Dead and gone. I don't remember how it goes, but that song is coming through here. Right? And that's the thing. It's like, you have already basically said, I'm never going to move forward in my love life. Even though you have hope, like, even though you're like, but I want love and I want romance and I want healthy connections. Like, with this Saturn and Libra energy, the devotion card, it's showing this energy that you're not ever going to give someone that opportunity to prove themselves to you, because in your head, you're already prejudging them before you ever get to know them. And you wouldn't want that yourself, right? And again, it could just be a very automatic response, but being consciously aware of that is going to help you out immensely in realigning with a healthy dynamic. So we have the blue tit bird coming out here with find your voice and free your spirit. Yeah, being radically honest with yourself is so necessary right now. Okay? Speaking your truth. Like, what do you want in your life? And then being open to receiving that too. Trusting that source is going to bring it to you. And I feel like trust is a really hard thing for you. Pile number 3. On the bottom, we have wood duck. Enrich your life by keeping your every option open. Don't minimize it for you. Like, you have for so long put it in a box. It has to fit inside this box, but nothing fits inside that box. And because of that, it's almost like immediate grounds for dismissal. But how do you know that you're not dismissing something that's meant to be in your life? Right? Because it's coming with a prejudgment based on it. Like, oh, you know, think about that. You go and get a car. You drive a car brand new off the lot. And because it's a certain brand, you're like, oh, this car is it's a POS, right? And so suddenly you start having problems with it. You're like, see, I told everybody it was a POS. I mean, the first question is people are going to be like, so why did you buy it, right? Why didn't you get a different car? And then there's a whole slew of excuses that come with that, right? So logically, it's the decision that you make. Like you at some point, you have to take accountability for the decisions you're making. You have to take accountability for the thought patterns that are showing up in your life. No one else can fix that for you, right? And that's hard, especially if you're somebody who is who's nosy like that, right? Like, and again, coming from personal experience, I know exactly what that is. It's like, it's a hard habit to break. And it's scary too, because it means you're giving away the potential to know. But what if there's nothing to know? So you have to ask yourself, what matters more? Having a person in my life that I give trust to, that I'm allowing them to give their trust to me too? Or knowing what matters more? And then, you know, wherever you're at, honoring that. Like, if you can't give away your trust to a person, honoring that you're in a place where knowing more is more validating for you, and continue healing. Yeah, be generous of spirit. And I think generosity and compassion go hand in hand here. You know, it's like sometimes we have to let people be people. No matter what, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. That's part of acceptance, and that's part of generosity and spirit. You know, it's like we're just, instead of trying to control outcomes and instead of trying to have self-fulfilling prophecies, we're literally just taking a step back and allowing life to unfold, which is scary because that's taking a huge risk, but it's worth it, right? Yeah, Mars, jump into action. And Mars is a very aggressive energy too. And this is like that fight or flight energy. So it's like coming out of fight or flight, flee or fawn. and coming into a space of really being grounded in your power, and knowing that even though it might be chaotic, you're still holding on to your faith, and that all these chaotic situations will eventually turn into peace if you allow them to. But we don't need to keep poking the bear, right? And I feel like when poking the bear is letting our emotional ego in. Nike and Leslie, your talents will lead you to great success. The time has come to allow your potential to awaken. Believe in yourself. Yeah, and trusting yourself is a big one here. I mean, it's huge. And like I said, there's been a lot of underlying common denominators for this entire reading. I feel like when people watch these, they're expecting, me and Source to come in and tell you, these are the exact steps that you need to take. But it's like all we can really point out, and all Source will ever point out, is the underlying problem. The steps to healing those problems are very personal. Like we can give you advice, we can lead you in the right direction, but we can't do it for you. And sometimes I feel like many of these, even with love readings and, my future love interests and this, that, and the other, it's like everybody's looking for someone to give them the step-by-step instructions, but there is no step-by-step instructions, because your instructions are vastly different than every other person's instructions. And if you're still here watching this, like, I'm so proud of you, because this is a difficult message, but it's necessary, right? We're not getting what we want. We're getting what we need. And that's the thing. It's looking at those patterns that have kept us stuck in our mindset for a long time. Growth. I want to expand my consciousness, and the biggest thing here, my awareness of self. Okay, so growth is necessary here for you to attract a healthy romantic relationship. Self-growth is the main thing here. I'm actually going to start it this way. We have Venus and Gemini with flattery, and not falling victim to sweet words either, right? Like, sweet words are nice and dandy, but actions will always speak louder than words. So let someone show up and show you who they are. Okay, and then we have the moon in Aquarius with independence, and also letting go of hyper independence. I feel like with this energy, it's good to be independent, but I do feel like for you, Pile 3, there's been a lot of hyper independency where it's like, I'll just take care of it myself. I'll just be there for myself. Like, forget anyone else, because they're all just going to hurt me. It's really hard for you to ask for help, and maybe letting go of this distrust towards others is starting to find people that you can ask for help. That might open you up to the possibilities that are around you, and that generosity of spirit as well. Like, you don't have to be the one that carries this alone. Like, maybe instead of looking for romantic love first, look for a true friend in your life, and focus on building that connection first and see where that's going, right? Yeah, electric eel spirit. Bring your ideas to life. I feel like it's electrifying. And again, with the number 6 here, seeing yourself through eyes of love. But I think it's electrifying for you. It's you're burnout. You're burnout letting people in. You're burnout trying to trust people. You're burnt out trying to believe that there's good people out there, because it feels like everybody let you down. But what if this whole time you've been letting yourself down because of a preconceived notion, instead of coming into a state of grounded peace and trust within yourself, right? And that's hurtful, but again, that truth coming through here, right? Second house, know what really matters. Yeah, and your self-worth is number 1 here. If you don't feel worthy of trustworthy people in your life, then manifesting a trustworthy person in your life is going to be impossible. We have Ormakai and Dubbin with the time has now come for the divine insight. Accept the darkness within you along with the light and follow the path towards wholeness. And, I tell you these things. It's not to hurt you. It's not to put blame on you or anything like that. These are things that I myself have dealt with in my past, things that I've had to come to terms with along my own journey that were very difficult to come to terms with. But these are also things I see other clients. So you're not alone, Pile 3. It's not like you're some weird oddball that you're the only person in the world that does something like this. No, not at all. This is a part of the shadow. Okay, this is a part of that shadow. We talked about the shadow of Scorpio in the beginning. Okay, so we see that the shadow is at play here, but it's time for you to honor and accept the shadow that lives within you so that you can integrate that back into the light and step forward as that whole being, feeling as a whole being, right? Love. I commit to the practice of seeing good in all things. Changing your perspective on love is going to help you out immensely. And then I'm not surprised that this came out. You might have resonated with one of the other piles or been drawn to another pile as well. You're more than welcome to watch it, but there's no obligation to watch more than one. Really quickly though, I do want to mention, if you watched all 3 piles with me, leave a purple heart down below. That's part of my Purple Heart Club. And I just really appreciate those of you that spend any amount of time with me on the reading. Okay, so we've got Chiron here with Hurt and Heal. Yeah, this is part of the karma that has been accrued in this life, part of the pain, the suffering that you've gone through. It's understandable why this is so hard to let go of, because Chiron is incredibly hard to face. Chiron is the persistent energy that continues to arise time and time again, and asking us to face that part of ourselves that we might not like, right? It's better to keep this hidden. No one can know about this part of me, but if we keep it hidden from ourselves, we're only doing ourselves a disservice. And so we see love is also a part of Chiron. It's been very difficult for you to find love in your life because of these hurt, these wounds that have arisen, that are just asking to be given love, to be given some sort of devotion, to be given some sort of acknowledgement along the way. And just accepting yourself wholly is going to really empower you to letting someone in a more positive and conducive way moving forward. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to read this one from the book. We have the great work. Wow. So there was a card that came out in an earlier pile that this goes hand in hand with. Okay, so you might have been drawn to that pile as well. So this is number 61. 61, 71. I opened up right to 71. 64, 63, and 61. Okay. I feel like friendship for you is the main thing here, especially with the yellow rose at the forefront. And if you look here with the, like, we have friendship and truth, right? That's what this feels like to me. And with the red rose back here, which represents romantic love, this is kind of the least focused on flower right now. For you, pile 3, I really get this energy that the most important thing is just finding a friend. Finding a friend. When you find a friend, then you'll be able to open up your doors to romantic love. And I feel like friendship is very healing for you right now. Okay, that's what this really is giving me energy of. So we have, take note of the card that appear alongside the gold, sun, or conjunction card. We didn't really get any of those, but it says a psychic shift has occurred that's big and beautiful. A celebration is a must. It says if one claims to be working on their magnum opus, it's likely they are not. The alchemist knows that the great work occurs without realizing it, as it's a collaboration with the divine. Yeah, so Source is bringing this in. This is something that you haven't been able to focus on because it's just something that's out of sight, out of mind until it comes up, right? So we have attention, devotion, and vocation. The magnum opus shimmers in the distance, promising purpose, achievement, and understanding. When will we get there? When will our efforts be recognized? Amidst pressure and expectations, we come to realize each alchemist's life is an accumulation of moments in which attention is placed upon a subject within the laboratory. The artist draws a single line. The poet scribes a single word. The rose forms a single leaf. The magnum opus card reminds us that the alchemical garden grows from seeds tended to by devoted hands in the grace of the sun, water, and earth. You cannot force the great work. You cannot claim it or complete it. This card arrives to whisper words of encouragement. You are in the right place. The most important place for you. This is the alchemical garden. Tend to the youngest growth. Be delicate and precise. Yeah, so this is tending to the, didn't I say at one point there's the garden and there's weeds that need to be taken care of? And nurturing the garden. Why do I feel like I said that at the it's been a while. We've been on the reading for a while now. But I really feel like I said that at the beginning of your reading. I really do feel like I said that. It says, to go deeper, look at and read about conceptual art on Karwa's work, particularly the Today's series and 1 Million Years, and to ponder one day at a time. To ponder this energy is just taking it one day at a time. Because I feel like asking you to trust right now, pile 3, that's a big ask, right? Like asking you to let someone in and let them be who they are without feeling like you need to control the outcome. I really feel like that's a big ask, and that's okay. That's okay. So what we ask ourselves is just today. Like, can I do what I need to for today? Can I let go of this belief just for today? And then ask yourself that again tomorrow and the next day. It's just one day at a time. That's it. We're not trying to get from point A to point Z. We're literally just trying to take 1 foot in front of the other. 1 inch. Inch by inch, it becomes a cinch. Okay? So I know this is a really, really wild message here. This is a really, it was more about what you need to focus on right now rather than bringing in romance, because I feel like the main thing for you is friendship and reconnecting with the world. But with that's also a good stepping stone, right? Because if you find a friend that you can trust, that means you have somebody you can rely on, someone you can ask for help, and that is going to be a profound change and a shift for you moving forward. Okay, so here's a big energetic hug, pile number 3. Just remember, you are so loved, you are so valued, and you are so held and supported, okay? If you felt like this was your reading, leave the rose emoji down below and say, I let go of the past me and I open up to who I can be now. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. So I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angels, source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very profound message today. And until next time, pile number 3, stay human. Bye.